Oliver takes an island vacation with his Uncle Slade.
That's right, because it's time for the DCTV recap review of the Arrow Season 5 season finale. Hi, I'm Jason Inman.
And I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
And today on DCTV Recap, we're going to split up the shows. We're just going to talk about Arrow in this video, but don't worry, a little bit later, the next day, we'll have a Supergirl review video. But the Season 5 finale of Arrow was so huge, had so many moments, we thought we'd break it down in its own separate video. So, let's give you the synopsis of the Arrow season finale.
Arrow Season 5, Episode 23, Lian Yu. Oliver assembles a group of unlikely allies, Slade, Nyssa, Merlin, and Digger Harkness, to engage in an epic battle against Chase and his army.
Alright, just like we do every single DCTV recap video, we're going to start with the good, then we're going to go to the bad, then we're going to give you our rating, and then predictions for Season 6 of Arrow. Holy mama. Alright, let's start off with the good. I have to bring up, so I did do the thing that I said to all our viewers before. I did watch the pilot of Arrow, Episode 1, Season 1, earlier today, and I'm actually really glad that I did.
Oh yeah?
Not only did it hold up for me, but it gave me a lot of little tips and tricks about all the Easter eggs that were in this episode, including the opening line of this episode is the exact same opening line to the pilot, that it's Mandarin, Lian Yu, it's Mandarin for Purgatory, so I really like that. I also really liked the opening Slade Wilson scene between Oliver and Slade. And the idea that the Miraculu wore off, that Slade's not as crazy anymore, and that Arrow gives Slade Wilson a flash drive with all the information about Joey on it, his son, which is something that I predicted like a 2 or 3, I think, DCTV recaps back, that the reason why Slade Wilson was going to help Oliver Queen was because he was like, hey, I'm going to help you find your son, help me save my son.
Yeah, Joey's going to be part of my prediction, so be sure and stick around for that.
What else did you like from this episode?
I really liked having Slade back. He's a really iconic DC Comics character. He has become an iconic Arrow villain, and I think Manu Bennett does a great job in the role. There are a couple scenes where it's very obviously a body double, but what can you do? The man's busy on the Shana Na 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 Chronicles. It was great to have him back. I really liked putting a cap on Malcolm Merlin's story in this episode. Malcolm Merlin is a character that I don't like, and I have never liked, and I think that this is actually a really nice ending for him.
Is it a nice send-off for him?
Yeah, I think it was a good send-off. If we're never going to see him again, I thought this was good. I thought John Barrowman gave a great performance, so tip of my hat to you.
Still has a terrible haircut, though.
Yes.
I want to point out as well that the title screen of Arrow went back to the Season 1 title screen. You can tell because the arrowheads change. And
every season.
Yeah, and for this season, it's mostly been a green arrowhead. Well, because I watched the pilot, it was the arrowhead from Season 1, which I really was like, yeah, nice touch. I really liked the little trio of Deathstroke and Boomerang as a team. And then we find out that Boomerang had betrayed them. So Chase apparently went to Boomerang and Slade and was like, hey, help me screw over Oliver.
There's a couple double crosses.
There are
There's
a couple double.
There's a few shifting alliances from scene to scene in this episode.
And then I really liked Slade and Oliver had some amazing scenes.
They have great chemistry
in this episode. Yeah, they have really great. I mean, maybe that's because they spent 2 seasons in the woods of Vancouver.
It could be. Maybe they're actually buddies. But
maybe they
are. Their partnership is unlike anyone else. It's comparable to the Oliver Diggle relationship, but in a different way.
And I liked Slade being like, kid, you still haven't told me what's the problem. And he's like, my past is coming back to haunt me. And then Slade's line was just like, that seems to be a recurring theme with you.
Yeah.
And I like that Slade was like, look, you can't get over the death of your father. That's exactly what it is. You blame yourself for that. And I thought that was actually a really nice scene because we really kind of should hate Deathstroke. He killed Moira. So I really like the idea that, like, the writing's so good that we get past it. We actually like Deathstroke.
And Manu Bennett, his performance really goes a long way with that as well.
Yeah. What else you dig?
I like that we finally got the Nyssa and Talia fight. They're so good. Seeing them together, they really do seem like sisters. They have a lot of the same affectation. They're doing the same accent. They even kind of look alike, which is crazy.
Well, technically, though, in the comic books, Nyssa and Talia had different mothers, so they don't even have to work. But I agree with you.
But they do. They look alike. They style their hair the same.
They do look alike. Yeah.
And the giant fight that is like inside the temple thing. I don't remember what that building is in Lianyu. Was really great. Having them draw swords was really great. And to, like, duel it out all old-timey League of Assassins style, I freaking loved.
Also, I thought Thea had her best scene of this entire season in this episode. Now, I realize that is not saying much. But I liked this scene. It was the Malcolm Merlin death scene where she was like, you don't have to prove this. She steps in on the mine. And he says that a child doesn't have to ask. I thought there was some great lines of dialogue in this episode. I also like they saw the plane where Deathstroke and Oliver met in season 1. And Oliver saying the line, that was a lifetime ago. And he goes, for Shadow, it was a lifetime ago. Being like, a little bit of jabs in there. I like that. Lance gives Dinah the Black Canary title in this episode.
Awesome.
You know,
I also
she's Black Canary.
I really enjoyed his interactions, with Black Siren.
Yep.
I think Black Siren was the weakest part of the episode, but she's not traditionally been one of my favorite parts. But I like when he hits her in order to protect Dinah, and she says, you didn't have to do that. And he goes, I did, for so many reasons. Like, that was wonderful.
There was also a really great shot in this episode, which held for about a minute and like 20, 30 seconds, where it was like the giant fight breaks out, and the camera did this giant moving around, and got to show you, like, we got to see Deathstroke fighting, we got to see Arrow taking on Prometheus.
The single shot?
Diggle took on somebody, we saw Renee take on somebody, we saw Nyssa get a little bit involved and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a surprisingly long shot, and also had to be a very well choreographed shot, because you could see the actors moving in and out of this Steadicam shot. It was great. It was really good. I also really liked, I will admit that the flashback was a little bit of a letdown in this episode, but I like the creative editing between Oliver grabbing Kovar in the flashback and then cutting to killing Prometheus almost the same way.
Yeah. I thought that was cool.
What else you like?
This was the first episode where I actually bought that Oliver cared about William. William's been a tough construct for me, because I don't like that storyline from season 1. I don't like William, and I don't...
Was it introduced in season 1? I thought it was season 2 where they introduced the first idea of his
I don't remember.
Whatever. Yeah.
And I don't particularly like the actress who plays his mom.
No,
she's fine, but I don't find her great. And actually getting to see him interact with his child, who's also not a great child actor, but kind of looks like him, so that's something. He didn't, but in the past he's...
Yeah.
I finally believed that Oliver was a father. I finally believed that Oliver cared, and that was nice. It feels a little late for how long we've been dragging out the storyline.
Yeah.
But Chase gets a really good jab about, like, you really seem to care for an absentee father.
Yeah.
And, that's something that's been really bothering Felicity and has driven a wedge between her and Oliver, and it's really true. And I think coming from Chase, it was a powerful line. But I really liked it. You can also tell that Stephen Amell is a father in real life when he grabs him.
Yeah.
And
Are you okay?
The way he's talking to him and looking at him, like, it was a great performance, and it paid off a kind of a long-running storyline.
Yeah. There was also some, when we finally get to the boat, we see William, we see Prometheus. Whatever cove they're filming in, whatever cove is hiding.
That one beach that they always film on.
Whatever one is hiding, is pretending to be the island. There was a great wide shot, and they also did this overhead dolly shot onto the boat. Looked great.
Oh, and when they did the dolly shot, there was such a cool thing where, like, Oliver has to ride to the end of the dock and jump on the boat, and he climbs up on the boat, and he jumps from, like, on top of the cabin down onto
It's a nice little crane shot.
And he punches. It was so epic in a way that only Arrow fights could be.
There was some really, really great cinematography in this episode. And it's amazing, again, comparing this again to the Flash finale, that most of this is actually people or stuntmen just beating the crap out of each other, and it looks great because of the camera work.
A talented stuntman or woman can always beat special effects.
All right, then before we get to the big twist of the ending,
sure,
I want to talk about the flashbacks. So we finally get to see the moments leading up into the pilot.
And actual footage from that episode.
Yeah. So that was another thing where I was glad I watched the pilot. So as soon as he hits the rocks, it's the pilot footage, and then before then was like when he grabbed onto the tree and did a flip. That's new stuff they filmed.
Yeah.
But then once he hits the rocks, boom, we're back into the pilot. We get to the boat, and then we get one extra scene that we didn't get to see in the pilot. And man, the scene kind of got me a little teary because I didn't realize, again, how much I missed this actor him calling Moira.
Yeah, she's great.
And her not believing that it was Oliver. And
You
him,
wouldn't.
And
you would not.
And then they both crying. He's just like, please don't hang up on me. Please don't hang up on me. I thought that was the only scene we got added on past the pilot. Like, you and I had a lot of predictions about what it was going to be. No
Tommy.
Yeah, no Tommy. I actually really, really liked this scene a lot. And again, you bring Moira back, and you're just like, man, I miss you. Especially when we saw her like in episode 100.
It's also a nice reminder in the middle of what is ostensibly a very long action scene. That's what most of this episode is. Stephen Amell's a tremendous actor. And he can really carry those emotional scenes that not all men can. And he's got like a single tear cutting through his dirt and his makeup. And you believe it. And he does a great, great job.
100% agreed. All right, so let's talk about... I like this ending, but I also have a bad part for it. I like Prometheus shooting himself. I do. But we'll talk about it a little bit more than bad. Because him shooting himself kind of like... Because Prometheus this entire season, like, especially now, he when he first showed up, he was all a physical threat. Like, I'm going to kill you, I'm a throwing star killer, all this bullshit. Now, he's just a son of a bitch. And as long as he can screw you, he wins. And, like, him shooting himself is sort of the ultimate screw you. You know, and of course, some people in the comments last week had predicted that, like, oh, he was gonna blow up the island. So I find that you know, I didn't think that was gonna happen, but it was kind of like it fit in with the whole show and everything like that. Any other final goods before we move into the bads?
We can move into the bad. I think they're pretty limited though.
Then bads are gonna be very small because I think this was a very
I want to tack on to what you said. I'm just sick and tired of a dead man switch. It's such a... You know, tropes become tropes for a reason. I've seen it too many times that I don't care. I don't care.
I die. Yeah, it's funny. As soon as he kind of showed up, I was like, oh, they're going to do a thing where if Prometheus dies...
Everyone dies.
Everyone dies. I was like, you could kind of see that coming because he wants Oliver to kill him.
Yeah.
I guess good point. At the very beginning, when their plane is blown up, it was... some really bad CGI. There was a couple helicopter shots in the Kovar flashbacks that were really bad CGI.
Yeah, for the most part, that was pretty good.
The actress playing Artemis is still a bad actress.
Yeah, man, and you give her a gun and it doesn't fix it.
Doesn't help her.
But they get rid of her pretty quick, too.
I was not a fan of the Felicity kiss.
I agree.
But
then I was not a fan of William's mom, like, commenting on it. Like, that was super weird.
It was a little weird. But I was a fan of... how Stephen Amell delivered the line right after Felicity kissed him, because he said, what was that for? And I thought the way he delivered that line was actually really good.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this episode, we reveal there's a temple on the island. As far as I know, and please correct me in the comments because you're going to do it no matter what, we have not seen this temple on the island.
I didn't think so.
Ever before. Now, Oliver mentions that he's only seen it from afar. This is in my bad. If there's a temple on this island, why did we ever leave this island? Because clearly there are sections of this island that Oliver never saw. Why did we leave the island? We could have had a whole season of flashbacks where he goes to this temple, especially during the season 3.
Why did we go to Hong Kong?
Yes, and he finds a sect of the League of Assassins and trains with them. Like, that just tells me that there were so many more possibilities on this island.
I agree.
That why the hell did we ever leave this island?
I also want to put in the bad, we're just never gonna address the vigilante ever. Is that his name? I don't even remember. Yeah, like, that's a really big dangling participle that as soon as we got into the Prometheus storyline just dropped entirely.
Well, as soon as the Adrian Chase reveal happened.
That's what I mean. Yeah. As soon as like we got into that in earnest. And there was no way you could have addressed it in this episode with the structure of the season and the past 5 seasons. But I think that is something that should have been at least progressed, if not wrapped up in maybe these last 5 episodes. And we haven't seen him for 10.
I agree.
Probably.
I agree. I think it's more like 7. But I agree with you. Although I have read an interview with Mark Guggenheim where he said that like we're not gonna at a certain point he was like once the reveal happened he was like we're not gonna deal with Vigilante until season 6. Now
I think that's poor planning.
I agree with you, but that is something that Arrow has done before. They did that last season where we didn't get to hear Laurel's final words until season 5.
Yeah, but I didn't care about that.
Well, yeah, but also it was kind of like a little bit of letdown because you found out what her words were and they were kind of a letdown.
When you leave stuff for a certain amount of time, they lose their impact, like the Savitar reveal.
I agree with you. Like when we finally find out who Vigilante is, it's not going to matter anymore.
Yeah.
Unless they really introduce him in a strong way.
Unless it's William.
No. Okay, I have another nitpick. How do we feel about Oliver's fake beard and fake hair? And that's how he looked in the pilot.
Not good.
I have some problems with it. Do you have problems with it too?
I have problems with it. I have problems with how planned that interaction was.
Yeah.
I think it would have been better if it was supposed to be planned and then Kovar knocked him so off course that he spent another 6 months there. Another 4 months there.
We see
and when he had to wait for the next fishing boat to come around.
Yeah. Because there's nothing that says that
it's too produced.
I know that they kind of give us the idea that the flashbacks happen in real time with the season, like they're year-longs. But there's plenty of stuff, especially many of the flashbacks only take place around like an hour or two.
Yeah.
Some of the flashbacks have taken place over just a single fight, which tells you that like, oh, that's only 3 hours. So we already know.
One good 3-hour fight.
Yes. So we already know that there's plenty of stuff in these 5 years that we have not seen.
Yeah.
So I actually, that's a really good idea. I hadn't considered that. I would have rather they did a thing where we get there, we get to the island, and then it's like a time, it's a couple episodes go, and then it's like 6 months later.
Yeah.
So yeah, he did suffer for like 6 months, and the boat that came up was like, a last minute chance. Because yeah, it was quite convenient that Oliver was able to fight Kovar off and get there by the time the boat showed up.
Yeah, it's too produced.
It's a little bit. So I will say that was a little bit of a letdown, how they connected it back in the finale.
But it was cool to see him look more like a classic Green Arrow.
Yep.
With the longer hair and the longer beard, like that's cool.
Yeah, it's fine. And again, it's funny because I have basically enjoyed most of these flashbacks.
Yeah.
But as soon as Anatoly like brought him back to the island, I was kind of like, I'm
it's
done.
all kind of downhill from there.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Anatoly elevates your flashbacks.
Yeah, and then also let's talk about the big boom. One, I like it. It's a hell of like I was expecting it to happen the entire episode.
I have mixed feelings about it.
My problem with it is that it happens right before the ending, where you show me that title screen.
I knew from the minute the explosives were introduced that was the last shot we were seeing.
But like for me, I was like, it always makes me go like, screw you, man.
I think that's what you said.
I did say that
right after it happened.
Yeah, it did, but because it always. Again, you dangling participle.
Yeah,
it's one of these things where you're just like, no, give me some sort of like. I'm fine with you setting up a couple cliffhangers.
Yeah.
But like, don't leave us on that big of a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
is my biggest problem.
Who shot Lian Yu? Get it? Like who shot JR?
Now let's move on to the rating. Based on a scale of 1 to 5 arrowheads, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. Ashley, what would you give Arrow, the season 5 season finale? Lian Yu. Let's put it on my shirt.
It's not a perfect.
Dramatic pause.
It's not a perfect episode.
It's not a perfect episode.
But I think
Lian Yu's not. Lian Yu.
It's not.
Lian Yu.
But I think it's the best Arrow finale that we've had. They didn't kill anyone I liked, which is good. So
no Tommy deaths.
I'm going to give it 5. I thought it was a great finale. There were great tiebacks to the original. And all the stuff that I didn't like is either nitpicky or stuff that is traditionally problematic about season finales. So I'm willing to just sweep it aside. How about you?
I think this episode had a high bar because it had to connect us back into the flashbacks that we saw in the pilot. It had to give us the sense of the pilot. It had to sort of be a weird series finale, even though we know it's not a series finale, because they always plan this series for 5 years. They said that right from the beginning. They were like, this is a 5-year show. And, the show, thank God the show was so successful that it kept going.
Yeah.
I think there were some brilliant character moments in it. The idea of having Deathstroke in this episode was great. Doing again the switcheroo with the voice didn't bother me. You know, again, Manu Bennett's a busy man. He showed up for 3 days, he filmed this stuff, and then he took off again. I was just great that he agreed to come back. The Moira scene was very powerful, and even the final show-off with Prometheus was pretty strong.
It was solid.
It was really, really strong, and there were some amazing fight scenes in this. I don't know whether it beats the season 2 finale. It is pretty damn close. I think it definitely beats the season 1 finale. It is such a strong episode, but it's so strong because we're dealing with the legacy of 5 years, and it has so many beats of 5 years. Like, you feel it. So many times you feel the entire legacy of Arrow. It is definitely a 5. I don't know if I would call Arrow the best season of Arrow, but you know what? I think it's definitely tied with season 2.
I think the single best episode of Arrow is in this season.
Oh, I agree with you, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
But I would hope that season 5's got better episodes than season 1
because they're getting better in the legacy.
More time. Yeah.
Yeah. This was an amazing season of Arrow. So strong. Of course, the finale is a 5, just like we predicted. Man, Arrow has been nothing but 5s for me for quite a while now. So, all right, let's go into the predictions of season 6 of Arrow. Ashley, so they all blow up, right?
Yeah. Well, hopefully Thea blows up. And
then my prediction would come right.
Everyone else can live. Digger Harkness, because there was really no point for him being in this episode, except I guess it's kind of a callback.
Well, you get the idea that he died because of the mine.
I forgot about that. So hopefully Thea dies, because she's been kind of useless. None of them die. They probably all conveniently flew off I don't know, somehow. They have 6 months to figure it out before they start shooting again.
Oh, they have 3.
Whatever. They have 6 months since they wrapped.
They're actually writing it right now.
Yeah.
They're actually because they start shooting in July.
They got some time. I think that they didn't mention Joey specifically of Slade's cavalcade of children.
Well, in this universe, we only know about Joey. He's only mentioned Joey.
But I mean, if you wanted to, if you were like, we don't want to mention a Titan, we could mention Grant. We could mention, Roses somewhere. Like there are other people that we could have mentioned who are important figures in Slade's life.
Yeah, because if you don't know, Joey is Jericho, who was a member of the Titans.
And I'm predicting that the Titans show is going to have Joey in it.
Whoa.
And if there's any tie to the CW universe, it's going to be Slade in a cameo or on a screen because he's not involved in current Arrow continuity. And I think that this is maybe a launching point for it. I think failing that, I think we're going to get Joey on Arrow if he's not on Titans. Within the next couple seasons. Because, I don't think you mentioned specifically Joey and then not pay that off. And we've seen Rose, so.
I think we haven't seen Rose. We saw a Ravager.
Oh, you're right.
Is the problem. She wasn't Rose. She was this other character.
She was Rose.
I think your second prediction is more likely. I think we will see Joe. I bet we see Joey next season.
You think he's got mutton chops?
No. But they'll probably, show a picture of it like that. I don't know if Arrow's going to be that advantageous or that taking chances to connect to Titans, but I think
Slade,
you're right.
If you're going to tie any character, it has to be
Deathstroke. I agree, but I think you're definitely right. We're going to see Joey. You don't drop that and make it simple. The fact that I'm going to help you find your son.
Yeah. So what do you think is coming up next season on Arrow?
Man, I don't know, really, to be honest with you, but I do have a strong theory about how they survive.
Okay.
Because they kept showing Slade. They kept cutting away to him, at certain points when they all knew they were going to die.
And he would be sort of off to the side. And
Yeah. Well, a little bit of that was because they were like, well, we got to put Slade in his own shot so that we can tie him in.
We can shoot him out.
Because he wasn't in a lot of the Roop shots, if you noticed. Slade leads them all into an underground Argus bunker that he knows about. And that's how they survive.
Is there, a crazy guy down there? Putting numbers into a computer and listening
no,
to
this is
Mama
not
Cats.
Lost. That's what you would have done for season 4 of Arrow if you'd stayed on the damn island. And I know he goes back to the island in season 4 of the Flashbacks. I watched the show. He leads them into an underground bunker. It's like a bomb shelter. That's how they survive. Slade saves them all. But what I think is going to happen is I think that they're going to come out of the bunker. Oliver's going to find them, and then Slade's just gone. They're just like, Slade took off.
Yeah.
That's how I think Slade's going to get out of the show.
You just see him swimming in the distance.
Yeah. I don't know if we will see Slade anytime soon on the show. I have a feeling we might get him in one guest spot next season, but I think your theory of Joey is so right on.
I do like that the door is open now, though, that we could get more Slade.
Yes. Yeah.
Because this episode just proved how great he is on the show.
And how big and a super important part of the Arrow mythos that he is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all right, guys, so we got a Supergirl video coming very soon. We're about her finale very soon after this video. But also you may be wondering, like, hey, what's going to happen at DCTV recap? Well, next week, we're going to do the DCTV recap awards.
Ooh.
So we're going to name, like, who is the best actor? What was the best show? Best special effect? Best fight scene? Best villain? If you think there is a best category that we didn't mention, put it down in the comments because we want to pick your rewards. We'll pick out your category. We'll give you a shout out. But we're looking for the best of from all 4 shows.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do like our versions of the award shows, the DCTVs.
The DCTVs.
The DCTVs.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. Name the award. I don't care. Maybe it should be the Malcolm Merlin Grumble Award because he yells a lot.
I don't want to name an award after Malcolm Merlin.
The Green Arrow Stubble Award goes to.
It should be the Quentin Lance I don't know, Breakdown Award.
The Oliver Queen Fake Beard Award goes to something like, but you tell us down there, like, go down in the comments, tell us what you want us to talk about next week, and we're going to give out what our best are from all 4 shows. So head down in the comments, tell us about those awards, and then hit subscribe.
And why not click on one of the videos that's popping up on your screen? And for more exclusive geeky content, head on over to patreon.com/Jawiin.
We got a Supergirl season finale review video coming very soon, so stick around.